Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin, and today we have a very, very special one. This was supposed to be released 2 days ago when the embargo lifted, but I unfortunately fell ill. Dean is in his recovery week of, not having any events or anything going on for the remaining of the year, so he's taking a week off to kind of recoup and gather himself so that way next week everything will be nice and fresh and he can jump on all these and we can get a structured layout together to make sure that things are going to be coming out in a timely fashion because I know the last month I want to say our release schedules have been a bit whack, mainly because of work schedules or Dean not being able to make things, which it happens. Life happens. He runs a business. He has his own business he has to run, so he has to make time for that. And he has these events. He's growing his business, and I'm also helping him on that as much as I possibly can. So I just wanted to give a little update to everybody on that end of the podcast because I know um, you've missed a lot of things that have came out that I would have loved to have reviewed and talked about with him. And this was going to be one of them, but considering he has been, very exhausted and he's been trying to, get back to at least 100% or, well, let's not say at least 100%. We'll say at least like 90%. Make sure he's well rested and whatnot. And also, he is in the UK, so we have a 5-hour time difference. But today, we are going to be talking about The Mean One. Ted actually sent us a screener for this one, and this is a movie I was looking forward to when I interviewed David Howard Thornton earlier this year. I want to say it was about in around August, I want to say, or maybe even June. It might have been June or August. One of those is when he kind of hinted to me and obviously our audience that he was going to be in a Christmas horror movie. And it was going to represent a certain mean one. and sorry, guys, I might be coughing and whatnot. I might still sound a little stuffed up. But most of our audience would have, gathered all the information and been like, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, I know exactly where this is going. And it's here. It is now in early released theaters and Regals. It's a Regal exclusive in theater film. We got a screener for it because I wasn't sure if it was going to be released to Regals around me, and it finally just popped into some of them for next week. Which I will be going to support this film in the theaters, just like I did with Terrifier. We want to support these indie films as much as possible, and to really highlight the indie filmmaking community and just that whole sphere of indie filmmakers, because they're doing a lot of things that Hollywood isn't, and we need to support them and let them know that we want more of that stuff. So I guess without further ado, I will go and tell you about who's in this film. I'm not going to go into too much spoilers or anything like that. I'm going to loosely touch on some things that I really liked about this film, and then we can kind of just leave it off that because I want to keep this relatively short so everybody can go out and watch this in the theaters and make sure that if you have a Regal near you that you're going to check this out. There's multiple showings. So this is kind of like on the same scale as Terrifier 2, but just a little bit bigger because this is already planned to do multiple weekends and multiple time slots. So please go grab your tickets for The Mean One. Okay, so first off, this is directed by Stephen Lamonte. I hope I'm saying his last name right. Everybody knows I am awful with names. And it was actually written by, I believe, to their brothers, Finn Cobbler and Flip Cobbler. And Flip actually stars in this film, and he has a really, really, really cool role. I love his acting on screen, but as we all know, the I don't want to say this in like a, I don't know, in a bad way, but I feel like this is a movie everybody's going to see because David Howard Thornton is in it. And yeah, I mean, I was definitely one of them until I started, seeing the trailers and seeing, okay, so some of these people look like they have some pretty good acting chops. And also, I wanted to see David in a different costume or in a different role other than art. So he's like the highest build person on here, I would say, and rightfully so, because he's just a tour de force right now in the horror um, movies and community and sphere and everything. He's just blowing up everywhere. And he, of course, plays the mean one. They don't really say the Grinch because this is a parody. If you try to use anything from a Dr. Seuss book, word for word, or even like use its name, you're going to be paying out royalties and whatnot to them. So they were trying to steer clear as far away from that as possible. So the names have been changed. Not a lot of people have last names. The town's obviously been changed. The setting has been changed. It's more in like real world, like our world. It's not like in a snowflake far away or wherever it may be. And then we have Chris Lee Martin, who plays Cindy, Amy Shoemaker, who plays the mayor. The narrator, who does a great job, is Christopher Sanders. Um, Chase Millens, who plays Officer Burke, who is really good. And then we have Flip, who plays Lou. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else I really want to highlight. I feel like they're... Oh, yeah. So John Bigham, who plays Doc, who does a great job. So those are like the big names in this film. I don't know if there's a budget out for this right now. Let me take a very quick look. I should have brought down all these notes earlier, but you know me, I like to do everything right on the spot. Sometimes they don't get a budget until after at least the first weekend is done. So yeah, it doesn't look like we have one right now. But yeah, it's a really fun film. It's definitely not what I was expecting it to be. I guess I was expecting it to be like set on a snowflake, and everybody's in makeup that looks like Who's and whatnot. You don't really get any of that. You get real life people and sort of real life situations, sort of. The intro is kind of what you would see in the Dr. Seuss movies. I think both of them is like when Cindy's going down, see Santa Claus, but then it's not Santa Claus. But you don't see Santa Claus's face. This is like the first scene of the movie, so I'm not really spoiling anything. First scene in the movie, and she goes down the stairs, and she hands Santa Claus a necklace, and then her mother comes down, like screams at him and says, "What a monster!" and beats the hell out of him. So she kind of relives this trauma throughout her life, and then about 20 years later, where Sydney and Lou, her father, go back to Newville, but instead of Whoville, it's Newville, which I think was really clever. And she has to go. You kind of let go. They're going to sell the house because her therapist and psychiatrist think it's a good idea to go and finally get closure. Which, I mean, that speaks up on a lot of things in everybody's lives. Like, closure is a great thing to have. If you have something that warrants closure, so for her to go back and really be like, okay, I'm gonna do this. They go and do it. But as soon as they enter the town, they get pulled over by Officer Burke, and they have like like the reindeer getup that you have on the cars. See people driving around in. He comes over and he says that the town they don't do that kind of stuff and they have to take it off. I guess it's been quote unquote banned, or that the town folk just don't want to do that anymore. And you kind of scratch your head like, why? Like, even though you've seen or even like read like um, How the Grinch Stole Christmas and whatnot, you're still kind of scratching your head. It's like, okay, where is this going? And I don't want to go into too much detail about all these scenes. I just want to highlight some of the beginning ones and some of the cool shots that really happen. And I do have to say, this movie is very beautiful. It's very low budget. It has such a low budget feel that it's very charming to me, at least. You can tell that they, I'm not going to say cut corners, but they had to do what they had to do for certain lighting and effects, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you see the movie. Um, but there's a lot of one certain effect that you're like, oh, okay, okay. But then when you realize that it's a low budget film, then you kind of know that's what you're going to be getting yourself into, especially since it's a parody movie. You're not really going to expect a lot of people to throw in a lot of dough on a parody film. Um, but for this to be in theaters and kind of come to the mainstream, that's an achievement in its own, and that's great. So everybody who's a part of this film and who helped get this out there and created and put into theaters, like, thank you for doing so, because now I want to see more parody horror films, of anything. Because if you can do it with The Grinch, you can do it with anything, man. And I guess the next thing I really want to highlight is David Howard Thornton's get up, how The Grinch looks. This isn't really a spoiler because there's a bunch of stills and stuff out with it showing his face and his costume. So I'm not spoiling anything for anybody, but man, it looks just like Jim Carrey, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and damn, great job on the makeup and special effects department. Because yeah, and David, he really he turns the tables a lot with this. It's not an art performance. It's more like, art's very comical. He has a lot of comical stuff to him. But the Grinch, there's a little bit more with what he does. Like, there's a part when he's like, I don't know, sneaking around, or they kind of take apart from, I think it's in the cartoon and in the live action, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, when he's like on the floor and his fingers are like, and his toes are going across the board to be, quiet. It's it's so funny. It's so fucking fun. And there's actually a lot of really cool kills, even though it's kind of hidden by some special effects with CGI. But that's okay, because the movie itself is very fun. It's only an hour and like 32 minutes, 34 minutes. So it hits that sweet spot, um, of what everybody likes as a movie, about an hour and a half, so 90-minute film. Very, very fun. And there's a lot of really cute moments in here. There's romance. There's heartbreak. There's a lot of comedic moments. Like Doc, he is so funny. Like, I think he has to be my favorite character out of this whole movie, because of how fucking funny he is, and just how he is on screen. He like dominates the screen. And you'll know why when you see it. It's such a good film. For it being so low budget, people knock low budget films for it being low budget, but there's a lot of heart. You can tell from this film, the people who made this, you can tell that they loved it, and everybody should love it too. Give it a chance. I've watched it 2 or 3 times, and each time has been better than the last. And I really want to see this on the big screen. Not gonna lie, because there's a lot of cool sound design that goes into this film as well. With you hearing things everywhere, because I was watching it with headphones on. There's a lot of spatial audio that I really, really like, that doesn't really happen too much in films. Everything seems to be right in front of you. Like, it sounds like that's where it's coming from. But not this film. There's There's a lot of spatial audio that happens. Also, some of the set designs are really, really cool. How they designed, essentially Mount Crumpet, which they don't call it that, is really cool. It looks really, really cool. It's beautiful. Lighting is great. A lot of the throwaway characters are assholes, and that's kind of okay because they get what they deserve. And the whole theme of this movie too is about essentially forgiving yourself and forgiving somebody else. So it's about you coming in the end of accepting like what happened, and you're now accepting it, and it's okay to accept it. Which I think is like about the same thing that happens in actual Grinch, because he goes to steal all the presents and whatnot, and then at the end he gives it all back, and he's sorry, and everybody's like, yeah, it's okay, it's okay. But yeah, there's a lot of really, really cool shit that happens in this film. There's not too much I want to pick apart because today is the day the movie came out, and I don't want to go into too much detail about it. If you do want to see a longer review of Dean being here and doing a full breakdown of this film, we'll do it. We'll plan it for possibly next week and try to get it recorded over the weekend or something like that. We have a few other things that we do need to record. We might be talking tomorrow on Zoom and getting a big schedule listed for everything. But like I said, I wanted to keep this very, very short and sweet. I know there's been other people who uploaded really, really long reviews on this. But I think the movie really speaks for itself. And you need to see this to understand how much love went into this. And please give this movie a chance. Go get your ticket now. Any Regal theater that is showing it, get a ticket for you and a friend. And we're gonna treat this just like Terrifier 2. We want this to blow up, guys. We don't want to just leave it be and just be like, oh, Terrifier was the only one we're gonna go support. No. We gotta support all these films the same way if we want to make an impact in the indie sphere. If we want them to have more, I guess like sunshine. We want them to have more of a spotlight, other than all these big movies that take up 4 or 5 theaters and play all day, and let an indie film take up one theater and they can only play for 3 time slots. We don't want that to keep happening. We want to either have a good balance or get the Hollywood ones to go to streaming. Like whatever, go to streaming. I mean, we want indie ones to do that one as well, but with indies being in the box office, it gives them an extra chance and an extra way to make their money back and to show that people do want to see these. So please, let's support the community. Let's share this movie. Let's go Team Green, man. Team Green. Let's do it. It's almost Christmas time. Fuck the OG How to Grinch Stole Christmas. Let's watch the mean one this year. So let's support it, and let's support everybody that was in it, and let's hope that they have better and more interesting things to unwrap for us. I guess that's a good way of saying it. But you know what? Thank you guys so much for the patience, and I know that we have released 2 interviews quite close this week, but they were ones that we really wanted to get out, and we support all of the support that you guys have. We love you all. We don't take anybody for granted, and please go support this film just like you would a podcast. Go watch it. If you can't go see it, then gift a ticket to somebody else, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Go support the mean one, and go let everybody know. Go let David Howard Thornton know that he's a beast, and anybody who is part of this film, if they're on social media or whatnot, go tell them that this movie is great if you've seen it. Secure your ticket, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.